Hello, everyone. Welcome to How to Ace Your NDIS Audit. My name is Gina from Effective Policy and Compliance, and Alison is here as well. We will dive right in. Is there anybody here that hasn't been to one of our webinars before? Hello, Lana. Hello, Alex. Nice to meet you. Anybody else?
There's an Alex saying yes in the chat. Lana, this is my first one.
Ellie, your first one. Okay, we got 3 new people. That's lovely.
This is my first one.
Oh, welcome. Welcome to anyone that we haven't met before. We've been running these, and Ashley and Adam. Oh, golly, that's so cool. We've been running these since 2019 or 20, I think. So it's absolutely lovely to see a few new faces. We often get our regular providers who come as they're getting ready for their next audit and etc. Welcome Camilla, Bianca, Nicola, Adam, Ellie, Sarah, all of you, Priya, Lana and Alex, which I think I've already said. Fantastic. Let's kick off because there is always a lot to go through. So the sooner I kick off, the better. So let me ask you first, guys, if you know how to use the hand signals, or if you don't, just please use your own. Don't worry about Birdie up the top there. That's my pet parrot. If you, as I say, if you don't know how to use the hand signals, then just, turn your microphone on and just, for that moment and answer. That's absolutely fine. So what we'll do is just ask, okay, what audit are you coming here for? So let's have a show of hands for who's coming here, or voice, who's coming here for their first one, which would be their initial provisional perhaps, or even it's a certification audit because it's your first one you've been running as a unregistered provider.
Yeah, it's our first one as well.
Okay. Are your first one because you've got clients, or first one?
We're unregistered.
We're going to be getting a lot of those.
Yeah, and we have a sealed property, so yeah.
Fun and games for you, Adam. Fun and games for you. We've got a few in that position. Okay. Look, obviously with 260,000-ish providers who are unregistered, we are going to see a lot more of you guys. So, which is a good thing. Then who is going for their midterm audit? Alex is a midterm. Carol is a midterm. Bianca is a midterm. I love the way they float up like fish. Taryn. Okay, we've got some, we've got some brand new, but going in as certification. We've got some midterm audit people. Who's going for re-registration?
Camilla in the chat is going for a renewal.
Okay. Okie dokie. And show of hands for how many of you have SIL? There's a lot. Okay. All right. I'll try and make sure I focus in on a bit of SIL because that's a substantial amount. And that's not even, we probably haven't even got everybody who's attending actually here in the room. So let's kick off. All right. So regardless of whether you're already registered and you're going for a subsequent audit, you're still going to need to have certain things together. So the only group going for audit who doesn't need what I'm about to say would be your brand new provider with no clients. If you we'll just sit aside the brand new provider with no clients just to the left-hand side for a second while we say, if you are already providing and you're going for a midterm or you're going for a re-registration or you're a unregistered provider going for your first registration audit, you need to do an internal audit. Okay. Now, for the people who are already registered, the reason for that is your standards say that you will have done one. It doesn't say that a consultant would do it. It says you will have done one. And I could count on one hand the number of providers, maybe 3 sets of hands, to be honest, I suppose, the number of providers in the market that could actually deliver their own internal audits and not have a problem with the result. Okay. It isn't an easy thing to do. It's something that we take years to learn how to do, and do well. So it isn't worth your registration. It isn't worth having the compliance orders against you for having too many non-conformities. None of it is worth that stress overall. So for those of you that I just singled out there in terms of provider types, you need an internal audit, all right? It is better if you don't have the skill in-house. It is better to get somebody external to do it for you who knows what they're doing and you just feel safer, okay? So for you who, the only person here who doesn't have to have it, well, the 2 providers, the brand newie and the brand newie with the clients. Now, the reason you don't have to have it is because you're not under a set of quality standards at this point. The only thing that governs you is, and you probably don't even know because it's so hard to find out, is the code of conduct. And that says nothing about having an internal audit. So as far as the standards go, there's no law that says that you have to have done an internal audit, but I wouldn't go into an audit without one because, number one, I just wouldn't. Number 2, if you get you can have 3 major non-conformities, but they're all fixable within an hour.
Minor,
they might
sorry.
just be,
major.
Yeah, sorry, that's exactly right. So, sorry, yeah, actually I meant majors, but yeah, what you said is right. So, okay, what Ali was saying was if you get more than 3 minor non-conformities in one section, you've got a major anyway, okay? It doesn't take much to get that. But let's just say, go to this, let's just go over the top and say, you've got these 3 major non-conformities, but they could all be fixed in a day. That's one thing. You can fix them in the day and you might have an order that's nice enough to say, look, just go away and fix those and come back to me. But the majority of the time that doesn't happen. Most major non-conformities, and Ali will back me on this, most major non-conformities, 95% of them, will take a week to 2 weeks, sometimes 3 months to fix, okay? So you're going to go into what's called the word, Ali? What's the word?
The 90-day review cycle.
Thank you. The 90-day review cycle. Not only is it no fun, not only is it a lot of stress, it is expensive because you're going to pay for another audit, okay? And you are also going to be listed on the register as having a compliance order against you if you're a registered provider, okay? So you don't want that, not for any of those reasons. So I would say all of you, except for those with 0 clients, have an audit, okay? That's what I would say. And the only caveat I'd say, if you have no clients and you've written your own policies or someone's given them to you, audit them. Okay, so that's my advice going in. Don't risk it. It's not worth the stress. It's the stress that's a killer as well as the money that you're going to pay. All right? So the first thing is you've got to get your audit done, okay? But let's just say you're not going to, all right? So what am I going to suggest that you do? We would have an audit because the standards say we must have one, okay? But at the same time, I simply wouldn't be just relying on that. I would have a framework of quality and compliance that I would be following anyway. So something like this. This is our what we call our compliance management system. Okay, this is where all of the aggregated data for you to follow and keep your eyes on is going to be kept. So this is important even if you're going for your first time audit. And the reason is all this orange here, everything that's orange.
You're not sharing yet.
Oh my God, sorry. Thank you. I've done that. Sometimes my record is doing that for about 20 minutes. And I'm not looking to break my record anytime soon. Very embarrassing. Back to my screen now. Am I sharing now, Ellie?
Yep.
Fantastic. Rightio. So we've divided this up. So on the directory page of this compliance management system, and I would also call it a quality and compliance management system, but people respond better to the word compliance because it scares them. But here's the directory. It's got a whole bunch of registers. Now, these are to collect information at a high level. And the reason for this, the entire reason for a compliance and quality management system is someone has to be looking from a helicopter down on everything. Somebody has to have their eyes on what's going on. And the way to do that is with a system that is able to gather so that you've got aggregated information telling you what the overall picture within your organization is, okay? It's not just a nice to have, it's a must have. You must have a compliance management system. Whatever system you have, it's up to you as long as it works. But you must have a compliance management system and oversight. And that's called governance, risk, compliance, and quality, okay? Everything you see here in orange is what a provisional provider would need to have, okay? And provisional means you've got no clients, you've got no staff, but you're going to audit. So these are the things you'd need to have. And that's pretty much what we'll call the fundamentals, right? So you're going to need to show that you've got a record of how you've looked at your decisions and been able to rate the risk and of making those decisions and spending that money. Number two, you need to have a corporate risk register, okay? That is a high-level list of risks that your organization is going to face and that you have basically workshopped to come up with mitigation strategies, okay?
We just got a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Tiffany said, is this document available as a template to be shared?
This document, which is like a 20-page Excel, this can be purchased. We don't give this one away though because it's massive. But we can give you discounts if you want to purchase it. The next one is you must have oversight of all your policy documents, and when they're due to review, you must have access, you must have oversight of all of your regulatory compliances, such as insurances. What are some examples of some of your most important insurances? Anyone?
Liability.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you got your top three, your public liability, your professional indemnity, and probably accident and emergency, etc. And then you've got your workers' comp, okay? Then you've got other regulatory things like everything to do with your vehicles, okay? Your staff's licenses, your staff's registrations, and if you're depending on the state you're in, your staff's green slips, okay? Then you've got, may I also just say that a lot of auditors are smartening up. You really can't just have staff with third-party property insurance. It's best to have them with comprehensive insurance, because what happens is that if they do damage their vehicle, they have a very good case to come back at you as a provider. So it's in your best interest that everyone has comprehensive. You must have your disaster and emergency drill exercises or plan. This is for the plan. And these are your disaster response processes. You must have an asset list, although I don't think they jump up and down at you so much if you didn't, but it is still the done thing. You must have an aggregated list of conflicts of interest so that you always have, as a governance process, the ability to look at a page and see, oh, I've got 150 conflicts of interest here. When are they all due to be looked at again? Yeah. This is what governance is. Governance is, what can I see and what do I do with what I see? And does that help me to know what's going on and manage my risk and my compliance and my quality? Yeah. So that's the helicopter view. Yep.
Just got a question from Bianca in the chat. Do all of the orange highlights need to be in a register format, or can they be in a PDF style, for example, the asset list?
You can, you do not have to have this register style, as long as you've got the table, and it becomes usable as an aggregated list. Yeah. So it could be, each one of these could be a separate Word document, right? Instead of being all together on a register. But here's what I learned about 20 years ago, that when you go in to do a quality thing on an organization as a consultant and people have left and they've left different folders and different files in different places, nobody knew where anything was. And the HR quality folder, which was one of these separately in a folder, was nowhere to be found. And when I did find it, it hadn't been touched in 2 years. So my suggestion is, whatever you do, however you want to do it, they all stick together. Everything needs to stick together, because when it goes apart, it'll get lost. I promise you, it'll get lost. And obviously, all the rest of these matter as well, but you're not going to have any incidents as a provisional provider, yeah? That's why it's not orange. So when you're going in as a certification provider, as an unregistered or registered, or going in for your midterm or your re-registration, you're going to have incidents, you're going to have complaints, you're going to have feedback. If you don't have continuous quality improvement, better start looking for some. But also, I think, rather than just start looking for some, there's no way there isn't a provider in Australia who hasn't fixed something, changed something, or improved something. It's a matter of recognizing that you've done that and documenting it in a very simple style register, which shows, hey, I know what I'm doing. I've got my eyes on the prize, and I absolutely document and evidence everything I do. Yeah. And that's because fixing something, making it better, isn't where it ends, because who says it actually worked? And that's the theory behind this. Oh yeah, fix that. It's all finished. Fix that. But then your staff say, well, actually, it's still not working very well. So did you fix it? Did you come back and review it and ask everybody how it was working for them? And that's what we do in a quality system, in a quality management system. And when we have government funding, which is what everybody has under NDIS, you are bound to that. We need to be careful what we're doing with public funding. So that's why quality and compliance is so important, because we need to see what's going on. Apart from that, even if there wasn't government funding involved and a mandate to do this, I would still want to do it, because I ran a business when I first started working back in the 2000s, and they weren't really under any quality standards. And then I went and was employed as a manager in a drug and alcohol service. And that was my first introduction in 2002 to quality standards. And I then thought, wow, okay, this is a lot to learn, but now I can see how you run a business properly. And this is how you do it, because these things are done by the best companies. You can't scale and expect safety. You can't scale and expect things to be organized and dealt with, because nobody's memory, no person's memory, except for maybe Rain Man, is going to be able to remember to do all these things and take care of all of these things. So we have tools to do that for us. And whether we like doing it or agree with doing it, if you accept public funds, then you accept the responsibilities that go with it. And in fact, it really does help your business. And I think what we could say, and Ali, I'm sure you'll agree with this, in the most unsafest, dangerous, and hectic businesses, we see an absence of this. Am I right, Ali?
Yes. In fact, I'm doing an internal audit, or I've done one recently where the provider, during the interview, all the right questions, everything, they talked the talk. Oh, yes, we do all of this quality management. We do all of these things. I asked them to send me their continuous quality improvement register, and there's nothing on it. They've got nothing. So obviously I can't take their word for it because nothing's written down.
That's correct. And many a time you would have people say, and they still do today, but we do this, I do this, and I did that. And just the other day I did X, Y, Z. I'm sorry, if it's not written down, didn't happen. And, people will get very cranky about that. I'm sorry, if it's not written down, it didn't happen. It's just that simple. If you didn't write it down, it didn't happen. So we don't want to get caught out with all the hard work you do, but you don't get the kudos for it, and you certainly don't want the non-conformity, more to the point. So for the rest of you guys who are not going into provisional, your incidents, your internal audit, that's if you're doing it for yourself. But even still, here is a place where you would write down that you're having one. Yeah, so you can either do your own internal audit. No auditor will look unkindly at you, even if you haven't done a fab job, that we're going to be very happy that you had a go. That's what we're going to be. I can promise you that. So having a go is what it's all about. Having a schedule, because when we're talking about quality and safety, we're talking about the intention, guys. So why do we want a schedule? What's the use of a schedule? Because it shows us you've got an intention to do an audit here and then do an audit there. And then, we can see you did an audit 6 months ago. This internal audit schedule shows us your intention to follow the quality standards, to follow the rules of being in the quality and safety standards of being an NDIS provider. It shows intention, just like any other schedule, which would be a performance appraisal schedule. Okay? Sounds like simple, why bother? But it shows us your intention if you've got a performance appraisal schedule. See here? Now, if you just go, I've done them and here's the performance appraisals, yeah, that's good. But when we see a schedule, then we see a couple of emails, and then we see a performance appraisal, and then we see follow-ups of performance appraisals, we're looking at excellence, That's what we're looking at. So a schedule of something will show you that you've got an intention to do things, not just jumping along. It's just that extra silver, that extra gold sprinkle on something, So coming back to here, so you'll need to be covering off on your incident. So this means, what does this mean? It means that every time you've taken an incident report, doesn't matter what sort it is, you need to have it in a register somewhere, because you agreed under the quality and safety standards that you would make sure you had an overview of every incident that occurred, and that what you would do was, what you agreed to under the quality and safety standards is you agreed to analyze that data, and you agreed to look at the trends and to see what's going on. I've got so many, might be, oh my gosh, XYZ is touching everybody. I've got so many, inappropriate behavior of XYZ person, or it might be, gosh, what's her name's having lots of car accidents, or whatever it is. This incident management and the complaint management and even conflict of interest and all of this data is knowledge worth having, because it shows you what's going on in your organization. And you did agree that you would do this and that you would have a look, and maybe you'll make some quality improvements based on what you see. So when it comes to quality improvements, and I'll just jump here for a second. So we've got our continuous quality improvement plan. Okay. So remember what we said, if it isn't written down, it didn't happen. Don't waste all those good things that you do and not take, what's that word? I don't think kudos is the word, but you know what word I'm trying to say. Not take the whatever that comes with it. What I want to say to you is people get very confused about this, but I want to break it down to something really simple. I want you to think continuous quality improvement and its register is the Pacific Ocean, right? The Pacific Ocean, because that's what I'm closest to. What are some of the rivers and the estuaries and I'm not real good at geography, but the lakes, even though I studied it, what are some of those waterways that will flow into the Pacific Ocean? Can you tell me?
Just to confirm, do you actually mean the ocean, or are you like, is this extending the metaphor?
It's a metaphor. Yeah,
No,
well,
no,
it's
I
a
know, but
metaphor.
do you want them to answer like as in like
No,
risk?
I don't want the estuaries. No, so metaphor time. Okay, so your continuous quality improvement register, I want you to pretend that it's the Pacific Ocean. It's got to get fed from somewhere. Some ideas and things and requirements and whatever has got to come from somewhere. Which of these registers do you think is going to feed this continuous quality improvement register? Because it's the ocean and it's fed by other things, which are, the metaphor is lakes and rivers and even a drain or, like flood water or whatever. What are some of the registers here which are going to feed that ocean of continuous quality improvement?
Carol said complaints and feedback, and Priya's said incidents, improve processes to reduce incidents. Jessica said compliments and complaints. Tiffany said item flags and other registers to inform business improvement decisions.
Absolutely. So your three main ones are going to be incidents and complaints. And I think I always say more so than corporate risk. I think I usually say, Ali, don't I? I say participant risk. So, they're your three main things. They're going to be feeding it. So they're those big, what's closest to the ocean? Is it a blooming lake? Maybe, whatever it is, because I don't know my waterways, but the biggest ones. So they're going to be the most. Oh, work health safety complaints, risk, they're the big waterways. Then you've got the other little trickly creeks and things like that. And that could be any of these. It could be a service agreement. It could be a complex care. It could be medication management. It could be any of these. And they're those less frequent, but they're going to feed it. I want you to feed your continuous quality improvement register. And if you have something that appears on that continuous quality improvement register and it doesn't have a backup piece of information from one of these other registers, it doesn't count. It's got to come from somewhere. We need to see that if you've improved on an incident, that we can see the incident report it came from. We need to see that there's something backing up that improvement that you're doing, because otherwise someone could go in and make 20 quality improvements in there and they never really came from anywhere except from their head. So it's a process, and it's an honor process, right? So we need to see that you're managing incidents, that you've got an internal audit that's been done or you're going to do one. We need to make sure that where you've got reportable incidents, you've done a mini root cause analysis, okay? Where you've got an extremely high risk complaint, you've done a root cause analysis, okay? You've looked to see why it happened. We want, you've got to keep work health safety information. There is no reason why you can't just keep the work health safety information in your risk register, though. You do not have to. Some people like to have to, and that's okay. Your complaints, your complaint feedback surveys, they're in the standards. Complaint feedback surveys are in the standards, but I just think we're just such an immature quality service delivery sector that they're too little a fish. They're going for the big fish at the moment, which is, not hurting people and making sure that people have got qualifications and all those sorts of things. Environmental sanitizing, that is in the standards. I don't know. I think every now and then people get pulled up for that. But like I say, sometimes as auditors, we're faced with really big, frightening mistakes happening. And sometimes environmental sanitizing might take a back seat. But let's just say you're really good at this and you've done really well and there's not much for them to look or find. And they're going to say, well, where's your environmental sanitizing report? Because they've got the room for those little fish, right? So it depends on how much there is taking their attention away on your particular audit. Meeting minutes. It is incredibly useful to have a meeting minute register, but you do not have to, okay? You do not have to. And if you've got a better way of doing it, then fabulous for you, as long as you keep them. Because if you don't have meeting minutes, what won't you have the ability to prove? And it's staring at you right in the face with a word. What can't you prove is in place if you haven't kept meeting minutes?
We've got Tiffany said governance.
Absolutely.
And we've got also continuous improvement from Bianca.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All of those things go into a minute, but your primary one is governance. You don't have governance if you don't have minutes of your meetings. You do not. That's just primary. Yeah, absolutely primary. I'd say the next thing down is your position descriptions. If you don't have position descriptions, you can't possibly have governance in place. Okay. Your staff risk, site risk register. Now, for SIL, please have a site risk register. Still homes and vehicles that are used a lot, please have environmental sanitizing. Okay. They're really important for you. We haven't had anything since COVID for client prioritization matrix until the petrol shortages. Now people are starting to focus again on what's my contingency plan if we don't have enough petrol? And a client prioritization matrix, you don't have to have this one. You just have to have a way that you have worked out who's your priority, and not in your head. It can't be in your head because you may not always be there, whoever you are. It has to be somewhere where everybody gets to see it. Who are your most priority clients based on a range of factors, and who could actually if you couldn't get there, they'll be okay. Yeah, that the people who are going to need to be fed and mobilized, etc., clearly they take precedence over the others. And it's only in an emergency where we have these emergency periods. Hopefully we won't get there with petrol. But I know people who are already assessing and keeping a flowing list, a really active living list of who will be their priority this week, have the priorities changed the next week. Being able to show that you've thought those things through is a safety and preventative mechanism to look after your clients, yeah? So where were we? We had come down to... if you're in SDA or SIL, it doesn't matter which one, you still have to have a maintenance schedule. You still have to have the schedule that you'll go around and do the check on the home. And you need to have the records of the repairs that it needs, okay? Site register. This might be, we use this for SIL sites, don't we, Ali? I think this was actually put together by one of our SIL providers, going around and doing risk assessments in each home. So it's a site register for that reason. So it's, X house, then you duplicate it and do, B house and then C house, etc. That's what some of our clients do.
Sorry, we've got a question from Peter. It just said, as an SDA provider, they're just an SDA provider, is that compliance management system available for just SDA?
I think we did build one for SDA.
Yes,
Yeah,
we do. It's part of the SDA policy and procedure package. So it's not available for instant download. So I'll email you after this, Peter, to give you a price for that.
Yeah, if anyone else is SDA and they don't want this enormous compliance management tool, maybe just either put it in the comments, or if you're watching on the recording later, you can just email us and just let us know that you're interested in the SDA standalone one. So site registers for SDA or SIL homes. You can even use them for group home facilities as well. Remember, as we mature as a sector in quality management, auditors have more room to be able to pull you up on more things. Like I said, if you've just found the most hideous things at a provider audit, you're not going to be focusing on the environment sanitizing report, even though it says you should in the standards. So it's kind of like, whoa, you kind of get knocked over by some things you see, and you focus on those things rather than these things that are not as risky, not as high risk, not as needing to be fixed straight away. Yep. What is this? What is this? Have I just got a whole page full of... I think I'm drawing. I'm drawing all over the place without knowing it.
That just is what is used in the rest of the Excel sheets to automatically calculate the risk.
That's where it draws from. Cool. Where am I? All right. The reason I'm going through these is these are the things that you need to have in place. Yeah. And a lot of people have said, oh, I just followed that and I just had everything, like I just got all my information perfectly in place. That's why I'm not sort of bringing out PowerPoint slides and, talking all that, because this is it. This is the ACER audit tool, right? And now I do want to be really mindful that the biggest thing is to get to the staff onboarding, because that is a big part of NDIS registration. So make sure, Ali, I do go there when it's 12:50, I think. Client prioritization, your participant risk register, big deal. Big, okay? Really big. What do you think will happen if you haven't aggregated the risks and that you can't show that you're monitoring when they're due for review? What do you think will happen, guys? Number one, at audit, you're going to get a non-conformity, and it'll be a major, because this is the system. This is the system. It's broken. It's broken if you haven't got this. Part A, if you like, let's go. Part A is having a policy that says the right thing and that you've got a participant risk assessment that actually works and does a good job. Yeah. But without Part B, which is the oversight, that's the helicopter looking down on everything to see when things are due to be reviewed, you haven't got a system. You've just got a piece of paper. And I often say, without the risk register, and you can think about this I want you to think about this for your complaints, for your conflicts of interest, for your what are the other risks that are written up, for your work health safety. You might have reports on those. So let's just say you've got these pieces of paper. Right, I've got a risk assessment for participant. Right, I've got a performance appraisal for my staff member. Right, I've got a complaint, Fabo, or I've got an incident. Wow, it's a doozy. Right, okay, that's great. You've got all those things. But if you haven't got it somewhere where you can review it, then you haven't got Part B. Okay, so that is a failure of a system. That is a break in the system. So this register is not just for convenience. It's actually showing, I understand that I can do all these things, but they're only pieces of paper at the end of the day. And I might remember what's on it, maybe, maybe not, but it's not going to go anywhere and no one's going to monitor it, because you can do 150 participant risks beautifully, absolutely beautifully, but you're never going to remember 150 participants and when their due dates are, and you're not going to be able to just view it at any given time or send it to somebody in the format where it's all compiled. There's no confidence that you'll be able to manage those participants' lives well if you haven't got an oversight of everything that's going on. So the analogy for that is writing out the most beautiful participant risk that you possibly could and then throwing it in the bin. You may as well do that, because that's what it equates to when you haven't got part B, which is some kind of oversight, which can take the form of a register, can also take the form of a software.
It's 12:50. Did you want to move down to the other ones?
I will. So we'll go, these things like complex care, these are not mandatory. So these are things that we like, other people like them. Your service agreement review, some people like to be reminded of that if they haven't got a system that reminds them. Some people like to see what the complexities of their clients are all on the one page. It's quite confronting, and I think that's a good thing. Some people need to be reminded that their clients have teeth, and that if they're in SIL and they don't have any parents anymore or a guardian, or even if they have a guardian, that their teeth might need to be checked at. Some people in SIL, or all of them, are supposed to have a CHAP unless their parents take care of that for them, and they need to be reviewed. Restricted practices do. Medical report register, not at all mandatory. Mental wellbeing anniversaries, not mandatory, but very, very useful. Communication log, not mandatory, but useful. Referrals register, not mandatory, but useful. Your assets in your SDA or SIL, they are mandatory. So you could either use them, you use a form where you record everybody's assets that they come in with, and then you can list it in, you don't need to list all the elements of it, but just the fact that you did it here. Like, again, without this, there's no oversight, so it's just throw it in the bin. But we come down to the staff, and that's going to be a really big deal. The other thing I do want to say is it isn't the only way, but the easiest way to show that you have onboarded and inducted a participant according to the practice standards, the way that you have agreed to do, is to have some kind of a checklist. Yeah. And you can have that checklist and it's stored with each client's onboarding material, or you can have a checklist that is digital, or you can have a checklist that is something like this, and you can copy and use it each time. Okay. Whichever way you go, it is the easiest way to show, because it's one thing to say, I've onboarded them, but I want you to show me how. Show me how, so I know that they've got everything that they were supposed to have. And that's usually something that has a signature or an email, and then we'll double check that evidence by calling the person and saying, did you get XYZ? And they'll either say yes or no, or I've never heard of that. So there are ways that we can triangulate the evidence by checking to see, which is why auditors do policies, ask you questions, look at the implementation, do a file for a staff member and a file for a participant, and we'll talk to them as well. We're triangulating to see if everything lines up what you've told us. Now, most important, not that. Which one am I after? I'm after the HR. Here it is. It's the HR staff matrix. Now, you may have this. I think a lot of the softwares have followed, or a few of them have. I know that Employment Hero have copied me a bit, and a few others. But what's really important is that you are able to demonstrate that your staff have all the documents that they're supposed to have. It comes down to their name, yes, their qualification, any professional bodies, but the numbers associated with those professional bodies. your APRAs, your Social Workers Association, your accountants, etc. Anyone that has to work and can't work if they're not with a professional body goes here. And then some people like to be a member of a professional body, even though it wouldn't stop them, like a counsellor, not a social worker, not a psychologist, but a counsellor. So that's where your professional bodies go. Because when you employ that person, you're signing a contract with the government to say, I'll make sure that their APRA registration is valid, and I won't employ them if it's not. So it's on you as an employer to make sure that it is, just like the registration with the car. And that's why we have these registers, because I can't tell you how many people drive their cars unregistered thinking it's only a couple of days. It won't matter. But it will matter if they have an accident, because yes, they will be in trouble, but guess who else will be? Does anyone know? Anyone know who else is going to be in big trouble?
The employer, everyone's
You
saying.
betcha. You betcha. Yeah. And I don't think any insurance is going to want to cover you for that. So you could lose everything. You're working with children, all of these. So you probably got some way to do it. But if you haven't, if this is your first time and you don't have any way to do it, this is probably, I don't know, this is a bit like the icing on the cake, this one, Ellie, isn't it? I don't know which one's the best, but you know, this one certainly has gotten people through, and it's a teaching tool. It has taught so many people about quality, compliance, governance, risk. You know, if you follow it, because we took it from the policies and the standards. You know, there's a little bit of best practice thrown in, but most of it has been taken from the standards for this sector. Just like I would do if it were aged care, just like I'd do it if it was drug and alcohol. We take it from the rules and we build it around that, and we throw in a sprinkle of best practice and stuff I've learned over a period of time. So you've got all your mandatory things, which is your NDIS orientation module. I'm sure you all know about that. And its dates. Remember, just writing that you've got it isn't enough. We need a date because some things expire. Okay, this one lists all the mandatory ones, and then you've got room to put optionals as well. So there are a number of mandatory things in a core module, a limited number, and I don't believe that they're enough, but they're mandatory. Okay, throughout the standards, these are the things that would be talked about, staff being deployed with this knowledge. Yep. And so that makes them mandatory. Like I say, I don't think it's enough, but it's compliant is what I'm trying to say. So then your worker screening, I think that's probably just one last thing worthy of going to. Back to the directory thingy-majiggy. That'll be under staff. Think Gina, think. Or will it? Yep, it will. Worker screening. Some people, look, I found it really confusing when it came in. We eventually got the hang of it. But what you've got to have with worker screening, of course, you've got to have a list of the people who you are, you have a worker screening check for and that you're waiting for. But isn't there a link that we go through to another sheet here, or is that the other one, Ellie? Because it's been so long.
Oh, the staff matrix. Yeah, goes to the other one.
There we go. So here's, you store the worker screening number for a person in here. Oh, is this it here? See, I can't see it.
Yeah, no, so you put the worker screening, if you click that, it takes you there, and you put it all in there.
You can whack it all in there. Whack it all. And I think there was one other thing too. We used to have a floating thingy that told them, but the floater's gone now, is it? We don't need the floater anymore.
Are you talking about the risk assessed role one?
Oh, yeah, risk assessed role. I wanted to talk about that too. So
yeah,
we know that people need worker screening checks, but some people don't know when they need one or if X person needs one. Where's that, Ellie?
It's Should be down there. If you scroll down, it'll be highlighted in orange.
Oh, here. So if you're not sure, you don't know whether a particular person, and believe me, it happens for a lot of people, you don't know whether one of your people has to be, you can just come straight here, or you can Google it these days anyway, but it is here. You can just check, well, do they need it or not? Well, you ask yourself these questions. Are they going to, basically it comes down to, are they going to have anything more than incidental contact with people with a disability? Yeah. So I kind of say, if they're an admin person and they're front facing and they're going to be connecting with people on a daily basis, even though it's only brief, I think that they should be risk assessed, because we've seen worse things. We've seen things happen. So I'd say risk assessed for that. Okay. So this is where you would, every position, not every person, every position in your organization is listed. Okay. And then you say why you've classified this as a risk assessed role. It's not every person, it's every position. Support worker, right? Then quality manager, then admin front desk, or admin back room, or admin works from home. Obviously the admin works from home won't need to be, because if they're not around your staff, then they're not in a risk assessed role. So it's got those three facets to it: the risk assessed role register, the writing down of the number in the HR matrix, and the other one, it's a lot for one thing, isn't it? But it's we need to have it. What was the third one? So then there's the risk assessed role. It's three in it, isn't there? The HR matrix, right? The risk assessed role, and then the Ali.
Do you mean worker screening or professional development?
Worker screening, the risk assessed role, and then the HR. That's all around. That's a triangle of risk all around the worker screening. Okay. So I think I wanted to make sure that I finished at the time we needed to, and then give you an opportunity to ask some questions. The other thing you can do, if you think, oh, I just wanted to see a little bit more of XYZ, I've got a couple of free videos on the YouTube channel, and you'll just see a little bit more. Like I think one of them, you might see me actually doing a bit of the corporate risk register, etc. So you can find a little bit on our YouTube channel, but if you were to cover off on these things, taking account for who's a SIL provider and who's not, and you don't leave any columns without any data in them, because if you leave a column empty, you will be given a non-conformity. A column has to have an answer in it, or it has to have not applicable. We don't have empty columns and we don't have empty rows. We don't say, I didn't know the answer to that. It doesn't compute. We don't do it. We have an answer in something, or we have not applicable. So if you're saying not applicable just because you can't be bothered, they will call you out on that.
We've got just a few questions in the chat. So everybody who's asking about details of pricing, etc., I am currently writing that email, so you'll get a large email from me with all of the details about our policies and procedures, this Excel sheet, etc.
Yeah, but I also want to tell you, if you're more of a software person, we have turned this into a software as well. I don't want to detract you from buying that, because this costs more than the software, so I really prefer you to buy that. But we do have a software as well, and I think I probably got just a second to bring it up. I haven't got time to show it to you, but suffice to say, it does everything that does, but it's a software and it has automations.
I've got it up on my screen.
Oh, so can you do it, Ali?
Yeah.
We'll be here till next Wednesday if I try.
And sorry, just to answer another question in the chat quickly. Alex, do you guys go over or offer overview, a rundown of what auditors may ask, etc.?
Yeah, we can do
Partially,
that. Why don't
yeah,
we
we
do that
can.
next time? Why don't we do
Yes.
another one?
Yes, we will. To answer your
The
question.
answer to that's yes. What I'll do is I'll look at the chat while you go into.
Yeah, are you able to see the screen?
I can see you, not a screen. Oh wait, no, maybe I'm in the wrong screen. How embarrassment. Hang on. No, I can't see yours. I can see your name, Alison Webb.
The chat can see my screen. Let me just stop sharing and then
It's
share
cool.
again.
Don't worry about me. That's all right. If the
That's
chat
right.
can see it, don't worry.
I'll just share again. So this is the software. I'll also pop my video on. Sorry, I didn't realize I didn't have it on the whole time. Hello.
Let me see if there's any questions.
This is our software. So if I go into registers and forms there, you can see all of the registers also listed in here. So for example, corporate risk, you add it in as a form instead. So like an online form as opposed to row by row. So you can pop all the details in. There's little question marks here about any extra details of how to use, like of what the column is talking about. So for
I think that's the game changer is that we recognized that people didn't know what they were doing, and instead of grumbling about that, we just put why you would do that, and I think that's been the game changer to teach people. So I couldn't let go of that Excel spreadsheet because it's taught so many thousands of people how to do quality and compliance over the last 6 years. Like, going to the software was a real tug for me because I didn't want to stop teaching people. It felt bad. So we just went, okay, well, we'll just put what we would say to people right there in the information icon. And I, in that way, I was able to feel ethical about making the automations of the spreadsheet, but with teaching people along the way. Probably answered this before, apologize, but could I please check with you? I've purchased the compliance management system a while ago and I can see there's additional categories from one purchase. Do I have to purchase it again? No. If you've purchased it, we're very happy to upgrade it for you.
Yes, I think I saw you tried to send a message on the website. So I'll just send me an email after this, and then I'll send you the up-to-date copy.
So we really love our software, and
I will include, sorry, Tiffany, the pricing in the email. It's going to be a very long email.
Yeah, we really love it, but I still love that Excel spreadsheet. And you know what? There will always be people who only want to use the Excel spreadsheet because they just don't want to get big, or they don't like software or whatever it is. We've got some real expert users on the Excel. Like, we could introduce you to some amazing people that.
We had a comment before, I think it was from Carol, saying that the Excel is worth its weight in gold for the amount of help it's provided for their organization.
I'm so glad. Oh, that's exactly what I want to hear.
Yes. And the key difference between this and an Excel, obviously, is it's online. So there's a little bit more you can do with just in terms of notification. So this will remind you when things are due to be reviewed. You can aggregate everything in the one place, like seeing all of the things that are due or upcoming. You
can tag people. You have a watcher so that if you're an owner or an operator or a quality manager, nothing can get by you if you are going to be the watcher in everything. Or you can have other people be watchers on different things. You can give people access only to some clients, only to some places. So it's got that, what's that word called?
Access levels.
Access levels.
This has also got shift notes on there, but again,
we don't call ourselves a shift note software. We just have it for those people who don't particularly want to have the and another software, like same sort of person that would probably just want the Excel. Yeah, they're happy to do that, but we are refining it. It's just not our priority. Our priority is to what is our
Quality and
priority?
compliance.
Our priority is compliance, to help people manage their compliances and their quality and their governance and their risk.
Yes.
And our priority is also going to be to, you can put your documents in here, no problem. You can put your policies and procedures in here. We have a priority of building that into a thing where they can automatically update. What's our other priority?
We're going to do a redesign soon to sort of more match other software systems. And we
Yeah.
also will, in the email I'll send out, I'll give you a link to book a demo with me if you want to go through it in a little bit more detail and ask specific questions. You can also give us a call or email us about that. And yes, Priya, I will send you the updated version of the compliance management system.
I mean, I use it for behaviour support, so I'm a behaviour support practitioner. So we've built a couple of things which make it easier to use that, but it's also, it is good for case notes, and we have plenty of providers that use it for case notes.
We're also going to be later this week or next week adding an ABC chart on here as well, so you can record ABC data as well, like expanding it.
Yeah. And I think the thing is to all remember that every person gets 3 custom forms that you can build out, or we can help you build out, so you can make up your own. And also, our clients drive our innovations. So people say, oh, it'd be good if it did X. And we go, okay, well, let's see if it can do X. And it does X. So,
Great. Rita, yes, I'll in that email, you're going to get so much information from us all.
Don't forget the Excel. It's my baby.
Yes, of course. And Ashley said, does it have roster as well? No, so it doesn't, because we're not a like HR management or really like a client management software. It doesn't do rostering at the moment.
We're thinking about it.
We're considering it at the moment. It's just a whole nother
it's a whole new
sort of thing for that, because it needs to really have an app then. And that's a whole nother part of development. Software development is very fun. So
yeah.
It doesn't do that at the moment, but it does most of the other things ShiftCare does, and then you could just get a sort of rostering system somewhere else, a different thing as well.
Yeah. Most of our users, they use ShiftCare, Brevity, FlowLogic, some of the biggest names that there are in softwares. And if they're still using this for their compliance, it means that the other ones aren't managing it. So, that says a lot. That says it all. Alrighty, guys. Any more questions? Because we're happy to stay on and answer any.
I think everybody's got other meetings to go to.
Bye, Nicola. Bye, Lana. Bye, everybody. I'll go through everyone. Bye, Rita. Bye, Ash. Bye, Priya. Bye, Adam. Bye, everyone. Bye, Ala. See you, everyone. Toodles.